Strait's sixth and final album, On Every Street. It became the first in a line of exquisite custom-built guitars and basses. But despite the extraordinary craftsmanship of these guitars, we were surrounded by instruments of perhaps even greater beauty. Masterworks Rudy had collected, and in particular the work of one unrivaled guitar maker and his masterpiece, the Radio City Archtop, inspired by the iconic New York Theatre.
I saw that guitar across the street from me, and this caught my attention. And I ran across the street and I said to the guy, "Who made this guitar?" He said, "Oh, he is the Stradivarius of the guitar."
Mr. Signor Monteleone.
John Monteleone is the latest and perhaps the last in a line of master New York guitar makers, and tomorrow we'll be seeing the birthplace of these instruments. When did you first meet John? Was it through Rudy, or?
Yes, it was through Rudy. Rudy put a Radio City guitar into my hands, and I gave it straight back to him and said, "I am not worthy of this thing. I mean, this is the most beautiful thing. It's got to be the most beautiful archtop in the world." Right up at such a level that really, you almost ask yourself, where does sanity end and something else take over?
Well, this is the final leg of our journey. We're crossing the river away from the city, and we're on our way to John Monteleone's on Long Island. After 2 decades, 6 albums and a final 300-show tour, it was time to call it a day. And Dire Straits ended in 1993. But Mark's love of guitars and music did not, and he began a solo career. While his choice of guitars had always had a profound influence on his arrangements, now the unique maker of Mark's 6th guitar would become the subject of one of his songs.
There's a tradition of great violin makers in Italy, Stradivarius and Guarneri and Amato and the Cremona in Italy, and there's a tradition of making these F-hole guitars in New York City by Italians, and it's sort of a strange parallel, D'Angelico and Cristo, and now a man called John Monteleone.
I've only been out to John's once before, and it was a little bit like meeting a true Stradivari or something.
Okay,
I've just met.
A genius.
And John is very unassuming, a very modest man, but he is like that.
Yeah, oh, there he is, the man himself.
Look who's here. It's been too long. It's been too long.
It's been great to see
you. Oh, my God.
So
How are you? See you.
Very good to see you too, man.
Yeah. Come on in.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Well, it's wonderful being back.
Wow.
In we go.
Oh, you look like you just started something here, John, is that right?
Yeah, I got into a project in anticipation of you guys today showing up, so I started making what you see is a pile of sawdust, the appropriate thing to have.
From his workshop, John Monteleone makes each of his guitars by hand, crafting logs of wood into musical works of art.
This was one piece of wood before it was sawed down the middle and cut in half. You know, so now I can saw it open and cut it and join it in the middle. That makes it wide enough to be that back. But at this stage already, it has some resonance and pitch to it, and that's where the real magic comes into the sound or the possible potential sound of any instrument. And in Mark's case, I pulled out a bunch of pieces for him to look at, and then I was tapping those pieces to kind of assess, yeah, that's the one. I want to kind of identify what it is that the purpose is going to be for that instrument. What is it going to be used for? What do you want to do with it? So we would talk about that. We would have those conversations.
Which presumably is going to make every guitar sound different than that you make.
They will be different. They may have a similar character, but they'll have different personality.
John agreed to show us one of his newly finished archtop guitars from his Four Seasons collection.
This was Spring.
Oof. Holy come on, look at this. made of this thing. I mean, honestly.
That's beautiful. It's...
Oh, I mean,
Thank you.
this is something else, isn't it? Just something else. I'm not worthy, John.
Well, no, yes, you are. You can do it.
For the uninitiated,
Yeah.
the difference between an arch top and a flat top, very simply.
Well, the simple explanation is that a flat top has a fixed bridge. This is the bridge area here. And a flat top will have pins that anchor the strings to that anchor point. An arch top, the strings are allowed to stretch over and attach to a tailpiece, forcing the bridge downward, whereas the pin bridge came over and was anchored by bridge pins in the top.
So that bridge is not fixed?
That is not
It's
a
just-
fixed bridge. It's
Right.
able to move.
Okay, wow.
So it's just held down really by the strings, John, yeah.
There's kind of another interesting aspect to this whole story is the fact that Mark actually wrote a song about this, and wrote a song about you, in fact, actually, in relation to the guitar. And in fact, I think you were actually building the guitar while Mark was writing the song or recording it. Were you recording it at the time?
Well, as John was building the guitar, he'd send me the occasional email. And, you know, and he did, with those little pictures of the build as it was going on.
Yeah.
And he would always end his emails with a little sign-off saying, well, the chisels are calling, you know, or it's time to make sawdust, you know. And they very charming little sign-offs, and they became lines for the song. And so, you know, it would be something like... Because the chisels are calling. It's time to make sawdust. So it actually became those little lines, you know, and then there's steely reminders of things left to do. Monteleone, the mandolin's waiting for you.
Chisels are calling. It's time to make sawdust. Steely reminders of things left to do. Monteleone, a mandolin's waiting for you.
When I first heard the Monteleone song, I was taken by surprise, really. I'd gone to London, and I couldn't wait to hear it. His studio is so gorgeous and beautiful. And he sat me down in the captain's chair, and he put the CD on, and they played that piece. And I swear, it was like, it really was an outer-body experience. It choked me up, you know, because it was just an emotional thing. I thought, this has got to be the most outside thing that I would have ever expected.
Mark said he was inspired by, you know, the emails that you signed off with. Do you remember signing off the emails like that?
Now that I think about it, I guess I commonly do it without thinking. It's a way of me of signing off and saying, you know, I'll talk to you later. With a little bit of truth in it, you know. I've got to go back. The chisels are calling. Yeah, I can hear them calling my name, you know. Time to tuck them in for the night, you know, things like that. Who would have ever thought that would end up in a song? And that's totally off the wall. But it's amazing, totally amazing. Very unexpected.
So Mark's final guitar is the Monteleone, known as the Isabella, which was far too precious to come with us to New York. Those were Mark Knopfler's guitar stories. This journey that we've just taken from Newcastle to Robin Hood's Bay to
New York,
from the sublime to the ridiculous, from the sort of the Hofner super solid to the Monteleones, and all the bits in between.
yes.
One thing is that it's been fascinating for me, actually, even though you and I played together for many, many years. There's a lot of things I didn't know was going on. So I've learned quite a lot on this journey as well, with all the different things.
You never stop learning about this stuff, and that's another thing. The guitar will be a friend to you all your life, you know. And I always tell kids that are starting now that it doesn't really matter what happens. So just keep playing and keep enjoying it. Music will be a friend to you all your life. John, cheers. It's been great fun. Jolly good tiller.
Fantastic.
Good luck, pal. Well done.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. If you wanna contact me, run me down. You gotta run me down. You gotta run me down. If you wanna contact me, run me down. Take it home now. Anybody hurt?